Section 2, Configuring Virtual Hard Drive Storage for Virtual Machines. Lesson 1, Virtual Hard Drive Formats and Types. In this lesson, I'll cover the different virtual hard disk formats and types. Virtual hard disks, or VHDs, are files stored on a physical disk that are used by virtual machines. A single VHD presents a virtualized hard disk to a virtual machine. The operating system on that virtual machine sees that VHD as an emulated yet real storage device on which partitions or volumes can be created. There are three types of virtual hard disk formats: VHD, VHDX, and VHDS. VHD is the original format introduced with Hyper-V in 2008. The VHD format is limited to 2 terabytes, but it is compatible with both Citrix and Oracle, in addition to Windows. Additionally, VHD does not have any built-in data protection, and it's not able to track disk metadata. The VHDX format, introduced with Windows Server 2012, supports virtual disks of up to 64 terabytes and does include protection against corruption and provides tracking of metadata. This format, however, is not currently supported by Citrix or Oracle. The VHDS format, introduced with Windows Server 2016, is known as a virtual hard disk set file. The VHD set file is a shared virtual disk for the clustering of virtual machines. The VHDS file is what virtual machines connect to, while an AVHDX file is what actually contains the data. More on AVHDX files later. It's easy to convert between the virtual hard disk formats. During the conversion process, a new virtual disk is created and the contents of the old formatted disk are copied to the new format file. There are 4 virtual hard disk types: fixed, dynamically expanding, pass-through, and differencing. Fixed disks simply mean that when a size is specified for the fixed disk, that is what the size of the actual virtual disk file will be, regardless of how much data is actually on the file. In this example, a virtual disk of 200 gigabytes stored on a file name disk1.vhd consumes 200 gigabytes on the physical disk. Dynamically expanding disks consume only the space required by the data within the disk. A new disk with no data consumes 4 megabytes, and as data is added to the disk, it dynamically expands the size of the file on demand. Dynamically shrinking also occurs when data is removed from the disk, but only after the virtual machine has been shut down. In this example, a 200 gigabyte virtual hard disk has 60 gigabytes of data on it. Therefore, the size of the disk1.vhd file is currently 60 gigabytes, but it can expand up to 200 gigabytes. Pass-through disks provide direct access to a physical disk or an iSCSI logical unit number. In some cases, this type of disk can provide better performance, but generally the performance is only slightly better than fixed disks. Differencing disks are a dynamically expanding disk that are typically used by a virtual machine along with a read-only parent disk. The parent disk, at a minimum, contains an operating system. The virtual machine boots up using the parent disk, but any changes made to the virtual machine, such as configuration changes, the addition of drivers or software, are written to the differencing disk. It is possible to connect multiple virtual machines to the same parent disk. each writing their changes to their respective differencing disks.